All right, let's jump right in. We're talking about SpaceX today, but not about rockets. We're asking a pretty wild question. What if their next huge move is to buy the very company that builds the heart of our digital world?
I know, it sounds a little out there, right? But just hang with me here. We're going to break down why this crazy idea might actually make a ton of sense, look at the massive hurdles in the way, and uncover the surprising timeline that could make it all happen.
So, where is all this coming from? Well, it really boils down to two recent moves in the industry that you might have missed. First, you've got SpaceX making a small, quiet purchase of a company called Akoustis. At basically the same time, two absolute giants in the chip world, Skyworks and Corvo, decide to merge. Now, on their own, these are just business headlines. But when you put them together, well, that's when a much bigger picture starts to emerge.
Okay, so let's really build the case here. Why on earth would a rocket and satellite company even think about buying a chip maker? Believe me, it's not just about owning more stuff. This is a deep, calculated strategy for what could be total domination in space communications. You can really think of the reasoning here in three main layers. It all starts with the tech itself, then it moves into a defensive strategy, and finally, it clicks perfectly into a bigger investment philosophy we've seen from Elon Musk time and time again.
First up, it's all about the technology. If you own the company making the guts of your radio frequency components, you can custom design everything for Starlink. We're talking about supercharging satellite performance right from the chip level, giving you more bandwidth, better power efficiency, and creating a tech advantage so big that no competitor could even hope to catch up.
And second, you've got to see this as a brilliant defensive move. Remember, SpaceX isn't just a commercial company. They're a huge partner for the US Department of Defense with their Starshield project. By bringing a crucial US chip supplier in-house, they basically eliminate any worries about supply chain problems. It's a huge move for national security, and it makes SpaceX even more essential to the government. And third, this is just classic Elon Musk, isn't it? It's all about something called vertical integration. It's the exact same playbook as when Tesla bought SolarCity so they could control both making the energy and using it. For SpaceX, this would mean owning the entire communications process, from the tiny chip on Earth all the way to the satellite in orbit. It's how you build an empire. It sounds like a slam dunk, right? Well, this is where things get really tricky. A move this big isn't just a shopping trip. It's a minefield of financial, regulatory, and even cultural problems that could kill the whole deal before it even gets started.
Let's just start with the most obvious hurdle, the money. The current value of that Skyworks and Corvo merger is floating around $22 billion. And an actual takeover bid, that could push the price way higher. That's a staggering amount of cash, even for a company like SpaceX.
And honestly, the money might not even be the biggest problem. You've got three other huge risks. First, you can bet regulators would be all over this, screaming monopoly. Second, you have a massive culture clash. Can the move fast and break things culture of SpaceX really mix with a buttoned-up traditional chip company? And finally, you gotta ask, is this really the best way to spend that money when you've got something like Starship to fund? So okay, a huge price tag, massive risks. You'd think this whole idea is dead in the water. But what if we've been looking at the timeline all wrong? This is where the whole analysis gets really interesting. See, this is where the timeline becomes absolutely critical. The real play here isn't some hostile takeover right now. No, it's about patience. It's about letting Skyworks and Corvo go through their own messy merger, which should wrap up around early 2027. SpaceX's real window of opportunity opens after that, when there's a single, new, streamlined company ready to go. And when you think about it, waiting makes a ton of sense. This new combined company wouldn't just be a chip maker, it'd be a communications powerhouse. You could call it the RF core that connects Earth to space, serving everyone from Apple to the Department of Defense. It would be tailor-made to be the engine for Starlink and Starshield.
All right, so we've got a strong why and a plausible when. So let's get down to it. After weighing all the pros and cons, what are the actual odds of this whole thing happening?
And this chart really lays it all out, piece by piece. Look at the top, the technical fit and the synergy with the military and government. Nearly perfect, 5 and 4 stars. The money, it's tough, but it's doable, especially if SpaceX ever has an IPO. But then you look at the bottom, and the huge risks from culture clash and regulators really drag the whole thing down. And all of that brings us to this number, about 30 to 35%. So what does that mean? It means this isn't some crazy fringe idea, but it's also far from a sure thing. You're looking at about a 1 in 3 chance. It's a bold bet, but a calculated one.
Okay, so a 1 in 3 chance. Interesting, but not a guarantee. But what could actually tip the scales here? What are the wild cards that could turn this from just a possibility into a real probability?
You're going to want to watch for 3 key things, 3 potential game changers. First, if SpaceX completely nails the integration of that small acoustic company, that's the proof of concept. Second, if the US government makes space communication an official part of national security, the argument for this deal becomes almost undeniable. And third, if the new Skyworks itself starts pivoting away from smartphones and more towards space and defense, well, their paths would be perfectly aligned. If any of those things happen, the odds could easily jump to over 50%.
So here's the bottom line. What sounds like a crazy thought experiment today is actually on a very plausible timeline to happen within the next 5 years or so. This wouldn't just be another acquisition. It's a move that could completely reshape both the space and the semiconductor industries. And it leaves us with a huge question. What does our connected future look like when one company controls everything, from the silicon in your hand to the satellites above our heads?